Is the Bitcoin bull market over? The price action for Bitcoin over the last month, and especially over the past week, has started to frighten many people. Sentiment on Twitter has been the worst I've seen in quite some time, at least since the initial post ETF collapse when Bitcoin fell 19% in a matter of days. Now Bitcoin is down almost 25% since its initial all time high earlier this year. Has Bitcoin changed or something? Why is the extreme volatility happening now? Should you be concerned about the future of Bitcoin? In my opinion, of course not. Bitcoin itself has not changed. It's still censorship resistant, perfectly scarce, has the most superior monetary properties, and its supply continues to get distributed roughly every 10 minutes via proof of work. None of those monetary fundamentals have changed, only the volatile temporary price has. If you've watched my videos or read my work before, you'll know I think this volatility is mostly noise and it's driven by Bitcoin's extreme growth rate. Keep in mind, Bitcoin was less than $10,000 this time 4 years ago, right after the May 2020 halving. That's a 6x increase in price. Volatility is almost a requirement for returns like that. The 2017 bull market saw extreme volatility on the run from $200 to $19,000. If Bitcoin falls an equivalent 38% from its current all-time high today, the price of Bitcoin would be $45,000. And this would be a fairly typical correction during one of Bitcoin's best bull markets. Another metric I like to look at is the Mayer multiple, which is now below 1. This means Bitcoin is below its 200-day moving average. You have to think about this in context with what I've discussed before. The fundamentals of Bitcoin being the best money haven't actually changed. Bitcoin still has much more growth ahead, and we're living through the monetization of Bitcoin. This means buy Bitcoin when there's random downside volatility. And the Mayer multiple is showing that Bitcoin is relatively cheap now relative to its historical price. This one may be debated, but I still like looking at the original stock to flow model. I think Bitcoin's price is a function of adoption, specifically demand to hold Bitcoin, which of course is growing over time, and the price, which is a function of the scarcity of Bitcoin relative to time and energy, which is exactly what the stock to flow ratio is. As you can see, the original model is actually tracking quite well, even despite the recent drawdown in price. After 2025, the model still suggests $500,000 Bitcoin is very reasonable. Considering that would be less than the size of gold today, I tend to agree. The last metric I want to share is hash ribbons. I continue to appreciate hash ribbons in stock to flow model because I continue to think miners and new marginal supply are a core component of what drives the price of Bitcoin. Most coins are held tightly and never move. You can see this looking at on-chain data like the HODL waves. The few coins moving on a monthly basis are just passed around by short-term speculators betting on where the price of Bitcoin will go in the next few months. And then the consistent flow of new coins from miners is what keeps the price anchored to reality. As you can see, we're now 58 days into this post-halving miner capitulation, which is very significant. This appears to be the longest miner capitulation since the summer of 2022. Of course, summer miner curtailment is a natural reason why hash rate is a bit lower this month, but I do think some of the weakest miners have actually been shutting down or turning off their older machines after the halving. On top of all of those metrics, you also have the narratives that Germany and Mt. Gox have added additional sell pressure as well, which I think is reasonable to believe, but it's obviously not a long-term problem. So is this Bitcoin bull market over? In my opinion, definitely not. Last cycle, Bitcoin didn't make a new all-time high until 7 months after the halving. This cycle, Bitcoin made a new all-time high before the halving, and it's only down 25% from the current all-time high. So have patience and lower your time preference.